who one day says Muslims are infiltrators, they produce more children, and then he says if a particular party comes to power, they will put the lock of Babri Masjid and Ram Temple. They will overturn the judgment of the Supreme Court. These are bizarre statements. It is very dangerous for India. The existential crisis of India we are now confronting because of the politics of exclusion. In Tamil Nadu, in Uttar Pradesh, in Karnataka, in Maharashtra, in large parts, which is extraordinary. I think this agitation by the people that constitution should be saved is a good augury, good kind of a omen which will save India. However, a prime minister can try to divide people on the basis of religion, the fact that people are in the forefront to defend the constitution, and particularly from southern part of India, that survey showed that people have more faith on election commission than on judiciary. People had more faith on election commission than on Indian army and even on Indian government. That was in 2000, maybe because of the post-T.N. Session effect.
Paces Pay, secure digital payments with multiple features and great success rate.
Vanakkam, I just don't know Tamil, so please excuse me. Look at the situation in India. There was a time when questions were being asked after Nehru who. Nobody ever thought that Nehru would, take standards. The anticipation was never there that in the event of defeat being faced by Nehru, he would ever, reject defeat and so forth. I think for no other prime minister, such a question was raised. Such a question was raised as much as it's being raised now. I think yesterday N Sahu, a very reputed journalist, he wrote an article exactly on the same topic in The Wire. And similarly, earlier, Pratap Bhanu Mehta had written about exactly on the same topic. So before actually discussing about this, future sordid developments or sinister developments that Modi would not accept defeat, let me refer to Mahatma Gandhi's speech in Chennai, that time Madras. Exact date I will give you, 22nd March 1925, almost 101 years back. Gandhi was addressing a meeting in Madras that time, which is now we call Chennai. So when he was addressing a meeting, many questions were asked. That time some kind of elections were taking place for legislative council. So the question was, whom should we vote? That was the question. Or should we abstain from voting? 1925, 22 years before India became independence, and 101 years back. So Gandhi's reply was very significant. And that reply is very much rather more relevant in today's India, polarized, facing Hindu-Muslim binaries, and most of the binaries are now being referred to by none other than Prime Minister. So Gandhi, when faced with the question, whom should he vote, his first answer was, scan the candidates. We put them under scanner, examine the candidates, and he applied few criterias. What was first criteria? Do they spin or not? During that time, spinning was the basic criteria. Do they put on khadi, clothes, or do they put the khadi just by way of, show off, or do they put it by way of their conviction? Ask repeated questions to them. And then finally he said, the voters must ask the candidates, do they believe in Hindu-Muslim unity or not? Do they believe in the unity of Indians regardless of their religious affiliations? Do they celebrate the unity of Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, and all other religious groupings? And if the voter would be convinced that they put on khadi, they did spinning, and above all, if they believed in the unity of Indians, regardless of their religious persuasions, cast that vote for that candidate. Now, 101 years later, what Gandhi said in Madras, that vision is being trampled upon by none other than the Prime Minister, who one day says Muslims are infiltrators, they produce more children, and then he says if a particular party comes to power, they will put the lock of Babri Masjid and Ram Temple, they will overturn the judgment of the Supreme Court. These are bizarre statements. So Gandhi asked voters to examine before voting if the candidate believed in the unity of people regardless of religions. Now, the Prime Minister is really negating that great vision. And Gandhi's vision is shared by 79% of the people of India. Because recently, CSDS and Lokniti survey found out that 79% of the people surveyed by CSDS and Lokniti, they believed that India just do not belong to one particular religious, one particular community adhering to Hinduism only. It belongs to everybody. So this is a remarkable thing. So normally the politics and politicians, they should act as per the vision of the people. Now, if people believe that India belongs to all, how can a prime minister, for that person, any political leader, would go against that vision? And the constitution mandates that India or Indian state has never been defined by any particular religion. I mean, here in Tamil Nadu, the great voices emerged. Subramaniam Bharati, the way he tried to define nationalism in terms of a universal, all-encompassing idea. That was the idea of India. And in many other parts of the country, the same vision was articulated, and the freedom struggle brought us all together. I mean, I am from Odisha. There was Narendra Sahu, who served in Reserve Bank of India. He is from Odisha. Many of you, I mean, here Tamil is in Tamil language speakers spoke. So we celebrate that diversity, and that is what India is. So Gandhi, in fact, same year 1925, on one occasion, he said, I do not want India to be wholly Hindu, wholly Islamic, wholly Christian. I want India to be wholly tolerant, where all faiths would flourish and enrich what is called India. So that was the vision, and that vision should be part of the electoral politics. And it has always been. The model code of conduct prescribes that no candidate can seek for votes in the name of any religion or caste or even the symbol of religion. Representation of People Act of 1951, it prohibits the candidates to appeal for votes in the name of religion. The Dravidian model, which is now being talked about, celebrates this idea of India. It just doesn't cater to one particular caste. It actually includes Muslims, Christians, and everybody. So therefore, here, today in New York Times, there is an article which I was reading in my hotel. It says that to be a Muslim in this country has become a liability. And then it refers to Tamil Nadu in that New York Times article. Here people do not feel that they have been, they have been excluded just because they pursued Islam or any other religion. So therefore, it is very dangerous for India, the existential crisis of India we are now confronting because of the politics of exclusion. And that politics of exclusion is rather being taken forward by none other than Prime Minister. I have no hesitation in saying that. And that is the reason why it is important to understand the point that during this election, saving the constitution has become a major electoral issue. Never ever, at least 2 months back, anybody thought that constitution would be a big issue in the electoral politics. I wrote 4, 5, minimum 3 articles so far I have written. In Maharashtra, on 14th April, on the occasion of Baba Saheb Ambedkar's birth anniversary, people were carrying copies of the constitution on their heads and marching that it has to be saved. In Uttar Pradesh, recently I was listening to an interview of Asutosh Varsne, who is teaching in Brown University. He told that ordinary people, particularly the Dalits, they feel that, in Hindi, he said, I will put that into English as well, 400 par kyun chahiye? Why do you require more than 400 seats in parliament? Can't you have power and state apparatus with 300 seats? You can as well have 300 seats. So why do you want 400 seats? And they have an apprehension that 400 seats would be used to tamper with the constitution. So this issue that constitution would be tampered with, is really actuating people to come forward and defend it. Ambedkar, on 25th November 1949, in the Constituent Assembly, in his last speech, he said, he raised 2 questions. Shall we ever defend the democratic government that this constitution would actually establish? Shall we save the constitution or lose it forever? That was in 25th November 1949. That fear is now being shared by people in the streets. In Tamil Nadu, in Uttar Pradesh, in Karnataka, in Maharashtra, in large parts, which is extraordinary. I think this agitation by the people that constitution should be saved is a good augury, good kind of a omen which will save India. We the people constituted India as a sovereign, democratic, socialist, and secular republic, that we the people, just not Hindus or Muslims or Christians, we the people means regardless of religion, region, language, and so on and so forth, they gave that constitution. Now the people are in the forefront. So therefore, howsoever a prime minister can try to divide people on the basis of religion, the fact that people are in the forefront to defend the constitution, and particularly from southern part of India, actually the leadership is provided. Because here we do not, grapple with this Hindu-Muslim binaries or divisiveness, be it Kerala, be it Tamil Nadu, as large parts of Karnataka, and so on and so forth. Therefore, the constitution has to be followed. And the question that is being raised, that whether Modi will accept defeat or not, again repeated questions are asked. Is election commission being compromised? The answer is yes. It has been compromised. I remember when I was working with President K.R. Narayanan, President of India, in 2000, the Golden Jubilee celebrations of the Election Commission took place. And he went to inaugurate it. In that inauguration speech, he referred to a survey in 2000. That survey showed that people have more faith on election commission than on judiciary. People had more faith on election commission than on Indian army and even on Indian government. That was in 2000, maybe because of the post-TN session effect. Okay, now 24 years later, 2000 to 2024, Election Commission's credibility is at the lowest level. The Lokniti and CSDS survey indicated that 58% of the people surveyed, they lost faith on the functioning of the Election Commission. In Anup Baranwal versus Union of India, the Supreme Court judgment, where it prescribed that election commissioner and chief election commissioners should be appointed by a committee consisting of Prime Minister, Chief Justice of India, and leader of the opposition of Lok Sabha. So in that judgment, the Supreme Court stated that such a committee has been recommended by the Supreme Court because the court felt that the Election Commission should not be what it called a servile commission, a commission which would be, servile to the government of India. That it was in 2023. But the Modi government changed that judgment. It said, Prime Minister, a cabinet minister recommended by Prime Minister, and leader of the opposition of Lok Sabha. The question is, Prime Minister and a cabinet minister recommended by Prime Minister. This means the government is in total control. So therefore, Election Commission, the apprehensions of the Supreme Court that Election Commission would be a servile commission has been affirmed by this new law enacted by Modi regime. And again, let me refer to Swami Vivekananda's observations on elections in Europe. He wrote that article in 1897 or 1898. He said that the candidates of different political parties in Europe who were contesting elections and trying to enter senates and parliaments of Europe, they were engaging themselves in bribery, dishonesty. There was a dance of devil in the streets of Europe. And all those were taking place because of vote politics. Luckily, India was free from such vote politics. Possibly, had Vivekananda been alive, he would have said that the dance of devil is now here, enacting itself in India. And that dance of devil is manifested in the pronouncements of the top leaders who are promoting sectarianism, bigotry, and upholding its horrible descendant fanaticism. So that is the reason why there is an apprehension that somebody who is driven by sectarianism, bigotry, and its horrible descendant fanaticism, whether he would accept defeat or not. But to my mind, if people have forced Amit Shah to accept secularism, people will force any such, whosoever high or mighty, to say that here is the verdict and you have to accept it. Thank you.
இந்த வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்தா லைக் பண்ணுங்க, ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க, கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்க. மறக்காம OH தமிழ் சேனலுக்கு சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க.